Hi. Hey, along with this whole coronavirus pandemic event we're all going through, I just wanted to share that there's another stream that's happening that a lot of people aren't aware of. And it really isn't like something deep below the surface or just some kind of conspiracy conjectures, but this is something that's happening that you can find out. It's in clear view on different corporate websites, but there's this one organization called the ID 2020 Alliance. And last year they announced two pilot programs. One was using a company called iRespond, where they went to, I think there were refugees in Thailand, and they were giving them a digital identity. That's their main purpose. And then they also had a pilot program in Indonesia, and they used a company called Everest. And in Thailand, it was to get what they called livelihood services. And in Indonesia, it was to get energy subsidies. So in both cases, they wanted to give help, financial help to various poor groups. And in order for them to get that help, they had to submit to getting a digital identity. Now, they always are talking about the digital identity. This is the ID 2020 Alliance. And this is not just some computerized thing. This is actually taking a scan of a person's face. In Indonesia, they did both. They scanned their faces. I think they also took their fingerprints. And they don't really mention too much about just what the digital identity is, but everybody knows what it is. And then also this year in September of 2020 or 2019, they announced another pilot program, and they're working with Gavi, which is the Vaccine Alliance. So it's taken a step further where they're not just talking about getting a digital ID in respect to getting services to poor folks from the government, but also working in conjunction with getting everybody's vaccinated, and having a way of determining whether a person has been vaccinated or not. And this is like really crazy stuff. I mean, it's not scary if you keep your eyes on the Lord and know that He's in charge and everything. But these are things that people have speculated about. You know, the whole end time, Revelation, Mark of the Beast. But this stuff is like right here happening at this very moment. I heard a podcast from the CEO and founder of Everest. And Everest is a company that not only do they have a digital ID, but they have a whole blockchain way, digital, well, I guess you call it a currency system using blockchain technology and the cloud. And I heard the guy talking, and this money that we're getting, the $600 that everybody is receiving unemployment, they're going to get an additional $600, and then every citizen's going to get a check for $1,200. Everybody seems like, wow, that's great. I love that. That's wonderful. Glad the government's helping me. But this is guaranteed universal income, and basic. What's it called? I'm sorry. Let me look at my note here. Universal basic income, and the people that are behind this basic income, universal basic income, the people that really support it, they see this $1,200 check for the United States government and this $600 additional check for unemployment recipients as universal basic income. And what's happening is they're transferring more and more our dependence, reliance upon the government but in the process, we're giving up our freedom. When you get a digital ID, you are being told that this is for the good of the planet. This is going to allow people that ordinarily couldn't have a viable ID to have one. But you're giving control, because this CEO of Everest said that they really want to replace the whole antiquated method that the United States is currently using for distributing these funds. I mean, you hear the reports that, it's going to be a couple months maybe before we get the $1,200 stimulus check and all that. And with Everest, with the Everest company, they would replace our entire financial system, where they would distribute these funds, and they would be able to mark them. Like he was saying that when they had the last time they gave stimulus checks, I guess it was in 2008, or I'm not sure exactly when, but the last time they had stimulus checks given out, it didn't do a lot to stimulate the economy, because people so often just put it in their savings account. But with this new system, they'll be able to earmark these gifts that they give us from the government. They'll be able to say things like, well, this has to be spent in the next 30 or 60 days, or it can only be spent for groceries and gas and not for other things. They can just control how we spend the money. And they want to make it so that we are all dependent to some extent or the other on the government. But we will not be able to get these funds. In fact, we won't even be able to go to the store and buy unless we're a part of the system. This isn't something out of the book of Revelation. This is from their website. Just check it out, Everest.com. One of the things that questions that was asked the CEO of Everest was, what about one of these little mom and pop stores where, people walk in there and they don't even have like a mobile phone. They don't own one. And he said, all that's needed is for the owner of the store to have a mobile phone. And if you don't have a phone, you don't have ID, they'll just take your photo with their phone, upload it to the cloud, to their database, and they'll be able to verify your funds, deduct your money. And I mean, this thing is far along. And I don't think that most people and most Christians are aware of what's going on. Right now, the partnership is between Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, Everest. There's also a company called iRespond, which is a digital ID corporation. There's the World Bank, the CDC, the WHO organization, John Hopkins organization, which also sponsored. They did this mock coronavirus pandemic event right at the end of, I think it was November 2019, where they pretended 65 million people were going to die. And we are so close to this being implemented. This whole virus is being used in a way that's way bigger than the virus itself. Dr. Fauci, who's on the White House task force, says we'll never go back to the way it was until we get a vaccine. And you know what's coming. When they get that vaccine, after all we've been through, they're going to be telling us that everybody has to be vaccinated. I think those laws will not have a lot of trouble being passed. And once that happens, the digital ID will be the way of verifying if you've been vaccinated or not. And the whole structure for the economic system is all in place. It's scaled. It can handle millions of transactions, simultaneously probably. It's it's um it's right here. It is right here. And I think people should just be aware of it. I don't know what to do with it. I don't like to talk about this stuff or think about this stuff. I like to think of spiritual things. And that's what I'm planning on doing. I'm going to get my mind just on the Lord and, his purposes. He's going to, in the end, be the one that prevails. But it's not fun being deceived, and we are being deceived. There's a whole nother current going on beyond what we see on the surface. All this stuff, the stuff we hear, flattening the curve. Come on, man. This is just, it's like propaganda. It's not that the virus isn't true, but what they're doing with it. They're bringing in something that's right around the corner. I didn't think I would live to see it. Now I think I will. It's that close. I'm on Social Security right now. I think, I don't have to worry. I'm going to get a check every month. Really? It could very well be that unless I'm in this system, I won't get that check. And it could be this virus and the vaccine they eventually produce and forcibly making everybody on the planet get vaccinated. You think that's far-fetched? I don't. I really don't. And the way that people have so readily and quickly given up their liberty, their rights to be safe, that's the scary part. The way everybody has gone along with the official narrative. Everybody has, stepped to the plate, as they say, and done their part and contributed to the good of society. And we're all such good citizens. We're all doing our part. Oh, we're so proud to be Americans. We're so compliant. And we've given up our liberty. We're not allowed to leave the house. We're not allowed to go places without a mask. We're not allowed to gather for church. We're not allowed to have businesses that we've created and invested our lives into. Come on. We've given all that up so easily. I heard one man say that if we would have just let this thing run its course and protect the most vulnerable, isolate the the homes that give care to elderly folks, and concentrated on that, but let everybody else go about their business. They said this thing would have peaked and been over with. But by flattening the curve, they try to make it not peak as high, but they stretch it out. And he says usually viruses, peak and they're over with rather quickly. And we're doing something that is totally unique. I don't know, how much these people like Dr. Fauci, if he knows, what's really happening, or he's just going along with that. I don't know. I just see it happening. But this CEO of Everest, he knows what's going on. He knows, and it's right there, right at our doorstep. Hey, that's it. I'll see you.